Plenty Valley FM presents Sig's Flicks.
Let's make some noise for the big man of the movies. Good morning, Sig Anderson. How are you today?
I'm very good on this cold, frozen morning, the last gasp of winter.
No, it's the first. It's the 2nd of September, isn't it? And it's the 3rd. So we're in summer.
Well, not quite summer.
It's spring.
Could have convinced me. Yeah, just on spring.
Oh yeah, you're still in bed. You're still in bed, no doubt.
Well, possibly not. We'll leave that in suspense, like many of these films I'm going to talk about.
Right.
Just real quick before we get into some of the films, that introductory theme there from that wonderful classic film from Stanley Kubrick, 2001, A Space Odyssey, is getting yet another run people might want to be aware of down at the classic vintage Art Deco Astor Theater down in St. Kilda. So if you haven't seen that one up on the big screen where all films should be, then you might want to check that out down there coming up shortly.
Beautiful.
But there's lots of films going on. I've got a couple comedies for you today. And the first one, we have The Haunted Mansion, which is actually not The Haunted Mansion. I suppose people working on film titles agonize for a long time over wonder whether it should be what it should be. The wording, the title is very, very important. So this film is called Haunted Mansion, and it's a remake of the Disney 2003 film you may remember with Eddie Murphy called The Haunted Mansion. Now, the discrimination there escapes me. I don't know. One word can make a big difference, but that's the way they're doing this one. That in itself is based on, of course, many times the way they've done it is based on a Disneyland theme park ride. But this film, what word comes to mind might be insipid, if you can believe that. I hate to badmouth a film because people have put a lot of work into it and into them, and they can sometimes be quite expensive and often. But this time, I'm sorry, it didn't work. It's supposed to be funny and it's supposed to be scary, and it's neither of those. And there's some people in it that are quite interesting, which you may find that you like, but in this case, they don't quite work. Anyway, let's have a look at who's going here and what's the story here. We have Rosario Dawson playing a New York doctor who moves into a New Orleans bed and breakfast with her 9-year-old son, and this place is pretty well haunted, unfortunately, as you can probably get an idea from the title. And in this house, we've got lots of ghosts that are in there. We've got an astrophysicist, also a local character, played one interesting character there, played by Lakeith Stanfield. And we have also a paranormal Buffin who's not real helpful. We've got a pretty well out there medium played by Tiffany Haddish, and we've also got a wasted role from Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays a trapped medium who's in a glass jar. We only see her head, and virtually cameo with a little bit more to go there. And this film comes in at 2 hours. It's pretty long, and I'm not sure who it's directed at. It's a bit scary for kids, and as I say, it's very long, 123 minutes, just over 2 hours. And the adults might find it a bit unfunny and not necessarily the best, and the way things go. The special effects are pretty mediocre. You see some really good films nowadays with stunning special effects. So to see an average film there, it's noticeable. You can't really get in there. So we've got a couple other roles from Danny DeVito, who's a real bright spark in his film. He's getting a bit older, but he's still got that vitality and that Danny DeVito shtick, which we know and love. He plays quite well in this one. He's a paranormal historian who gives a bit of a background of the history. He comes in there and chews up the scenery, as they say. Well,
And Owen Wilson, sorry?
That's exactly. That's my next comment. Owen Wilson, he plays the priest, and he may or may not be a con man, may or may not be a real priest. Now, a little disclaimer here. I have issues with Owen Wilson. I've never warmed to his character and his personality. I just don't like the man. Much like Alan Alda, I think I haven't really warmed to him much, although he's a very, very revered and well-respected actor from his days in MASH, of course. But Owen Wilson in this one is his normal laid-back self, and he gets through the role. He wandered through it as a kid, He could have phoned it, I suppose. He just plays his own personality. We have Oscar winner Jared Leto. He's playing a supernatural villain, and he in his role, he's only the voice of the supernatural villain, and so he's used quite well there. So this film is not really recommended, And the kids, it'd be too long for it, and they like to be scared of it, and they like to have a little bit funny, a few belly laughs, as do we adults. So let's say it's not really sure who it's aimed at. And once again, that's called Haunted Mansion. It's out now, and it's quite long, as I say, 123 minutes. And you might want to give it a look. You may not. So it's up to you. I'll see how you guys go.
Beautiful. And you had a couple of releases from the Melbourne International Film Festival.
Yeah, I'll finish up with those as well. But first off, we've got another review of one of them is a brief one. One of the ones actually from Myth, which I want to comment a bit more on, is Biosphere, and this one is much more interesting than Haunted Mansion, and it's firstly a two-hander. It's an intriguing film. Sometimes you get a film that comes along which is very no special effects, no big hoo-ha. It's a low budget and cheap sets and not much sets, but it's got a decent script. And this is one of those films. It's a two-hander. There's only two people in this, and this is the only people. These are the only people in the film, and they. First of all, we have Mark Duplass, and he is he's the main character and also the writer in this film.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's been in a few which I think you may remember, but he is also playing with Sterling Brown, and Sterling Brown is a very up-and-coming, strong African-American actor. And you don't know whether he gets the role necessarily in this one because they like to have gender and ethnic inclusive in many of the cast, but he's very good. But it's only these two guys in this film, and the basic setup is they are in a constructed survival dome after it's implied, but it's never really said, at the end of the world. It's a dark winter. It's continually dark, and we don't know whether it's a nuclear blast or an asteroid. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, at the end of the world, these could well be the last two people alive on Earth, and the Owen Wilson character, the Mark Duplass character, I get them confused.
Slip of this.
Because with blonde hair, he reminds me a lot, Mark Duplass, in this film, of Owen Wilson, who I do not like as an actor. So I got a little bit put off of it, but that was a bit my thing on that one. So I think that Sterling Brown has played a much better role in this film. He's pretty strong. He's a scientist who built this dome, geodome, and he get together with his long-time good friend, mates from grade school, and they are virtually confirmed with their survival. and they it's virtually two-handed. They talk about things. They're just living, in each other's pockets, and they're the only guys there. And they have fights and they have philosophical discussions, and they go through. But it gets quite interesting, when it gets on through the survival of mankind and the propagation of the species, what they may be responsible for. It's not really dark and heavy like that, but they talk about these things and they go over these things, and it really works. And one of the best things about this is the a cappella score, which is just two guys double tracking. It's just some of the background music and some of the prominent music and some of the scenes. I'm a little bit a fan of a cappella music, but it's very rare to see this as a whole music score, other than a few songs that are played in this one. So this one is recommended. It's quite different. Only two guys, and they go through a lot of things, and they work in their own way. I can't really say too much because it gets really weird and wonderful at how they decide to experiment with the propagation of the species of mankind, which is in their hands. So Biosphere, recommended, interesting film. Now, as you said, a couple other films from Myth, which you might want to be interested in, which will be released very soon. We have, first of all, Theater Camp, which is a crazy comedy coming out this Thursday. And I think you'll find that it is a lot of fun. We have a theater production which goes haywire when the camp director is struck and ill and goes into a coma from a lighting accident. So they got to put on a show, and they don't know how to do it, and it goes a bit crazy. You get an idea of the setup. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty funny. They've got no experience, and they try to put it on anyway. They got threats from the local camp nearby, and things are a bit difficult. So that one's, once again, it's called Theater Camp, a release from Myth. And we have another one which you might want to check out, which is quite interesting. It's called The Scrapper, and this is an interesting film, which I'll go into a little bit more detail possibly next week. But we have a 12-year-old girl who lives alone in an East London flat. She's all alone. She cons the authorities to think that she's being looked after by an uncle, and her father comes on the scene. He's a bit immature himself, and they sort of dance around each other to try and reconnect after he's been away for many years. That one's called Scrapper, another release coming out this Thursday. That was next Thursday, the 14th, which you might want to check out. Anyway, I'll be talking more about that next week. So lots of films for you guys to see, Bill, and I hope to see you out there at the movies.
Thank you, Sig, and thanks very much for coming on today and giving us that synopsis of those very good, not good, they're average movies out there at the moment.
Yeah, one dog and another one quite interesting.
Yeah, great. All right, thanks a lot, Sig. See, you'll be back on next week with who's on? Thurston, so you'll be back on the same time. Thanks very much.
Yes, thanks very much, Bill.
Bye for now.